Hey folks, today I want to bring you for a walk around New York City. It always strikes me that when I'm in a city that's not my own, I look at it like a tourist, but in a good way. I'm really interested in everything, paying attention, seeing new things with fresh eyes, so to speak. But when I live there, it's just home and not that interesting. So lately, my wife and I have gotten into the habit of spending Sundays going to a brand new suburb, wandering around and just seeing it like a tourist. So I thought I'd bring you along. So for the first episode, I've come up to Dyckman in Inwood. Inwood is like the very, very northernmost point of Manhattan, and it's a place that even a lot of New Yorkers don't know anything about. Now, when I say we're heading uptown, I mean really uptown. Forget about Washington Square Park, Union Square Park, the Flatiron, any of those famous buildings, the Chrysler Building, the UN, even the park. And if you've been to Manhattan, you would know that the park is crazy huge. We're going way up past that. Past Harlem, even past Washington Heights that a lot of people think is the top of Manhattan. And this is it right up top, Inwood. This is basically the district and the parks that we're going to explore today in and around here. And again, for context, here's all of Manhattan and we're going right there up the top. So first off, I jumped on an L train, headed to the 14th Street station that has all of these cool artwork, these figures all through the station. Then jumped on the A train uptown, took it all the way up to 200th Street. The kit that I'm using today is the M10P with the 28mm f2, also taking the GoPro to film, and the 50mm f2. That's pretty much all I'll be using, and some phones. Arriving at 200th Dyckman Street, headed straight up to the street and immediately impressed by the color and vibrance and life and the heat. It really reminds me of my recent trip to Cuba. So I spent the first few minutes just getting my bearings, getting into a rhythm before, meeting some locals and starting to get some shots with a little bit of humor. Now, walking around, it doesn't feel too much like downtown Manhattan at all. It has its own unique flavor. It's a predominantly Hispanic community with a lot of people from the Dominican Republic living here now. That's reflected in the shops and the language on the street. It's pretty much Spanish was the only language I heard spoken between people the entire day we were here. We have a little routine of buying a lottery ticket when we're doing these wanders. My wife popped into this corner store whilst I shot the guy with the ice on for sale. I don't recognize it, but Kate said this little girl in this photo frame was super popular and in every frame when she was young, so I better get a pic of it. After a bit more of a wander around Dyckman and the surrounding streets, we headed on over to the Fort Park. Now, this is a beautiful park. There was loads of people out and kids playing in the water, trying to get some shade. The walk up is really beautiful and cool in the shade. You can either take the long winding path or there's stairs that go up. Again, we were basically just wandering, so no real plan, but as we made our way up, I stopped, got some different shots, and once you get to the top, there are some beautiful lookouts, and this park is also home to the Met Cloisters, which is an extension of the Met main gallery. Here, they're focused on medieval art. The building is beautiful, it was jam-packed. If you're into medieval art, it's great. For me, I was more interested actually in the courtyard, the exterior of the building, and, basically the people, the life that was there. Next, I was actually caught by these bumblebees, much bigger than we get in Australia, and the flowers are really pretty too. So I swapped out to the 50mm f2 Apo lens to get a shallower depth of field and to try and stay with this bee and isolate him from the background. And surprisingly, I'd have to say shooting him amongst these plants and the foliage as he's gathering pollen were some of my favorite shots from the whole day. Having said that, the exhibition was really nice, and if you get to town, do check it out. It's definitely worth a visit, and if you're a local, it's a pay-as-you-want. It wasn't what we came here for, so we quickly headed straight back out and down into town. I really want to see how the locals live and the street action that's going on. So grabbed the last few shots around the grounds and then headed back to town. Now, a friend that lives in the area said the locals can sometimes be wary of camera. I didn't find that at all. I always made a point, however, of stopping, smiling, and making it clear I was taking one. Now, this grocery shop I loved, they were growing corn right there on the street. Had to get a shot of this to show a bit of a context, and I think it really tells you something about the community. Another thing, being a hot day, there were loads of hydrants open. Kind of funny, we saw this same car driving around, rinsing itself off. I got a couple of different shots here trying to include the locals and, the beautiful spray being caught by the sunlight there. But that same car that I saw earlier, we saw it on a few different streets, and I saw him again, this time using a piece of wood to get a better angle to really rinse off his car. Now, the black and whites you see here are pretty much straight out of camera JPEGs. I was shooting color. This is such a colorful, vibrant place. I wanted the color in a lot of shots, but then I had it playing back JPEGs that were black and white. Thought this sign in the bus was pretty funny. There's no sleeping kids in here. Next, after a few hours of walking around, time to go find a lunch. We found this cute little place called Bocadito's Bistro, a cute little local place. It was pumping. There was a birthday party upstairs. It was really noisy, great atmosphere though, and I have a feeling that the owners knew that I was coming because the plates kind of matched my motif for the day. We got a couple of different light dishes for lunch and their local beer. Kate got a couple of photos of me with the M10P as well. Sorry if this puts you off your appetite. And then it was time to hit the path again. We actually got in a good 18 or 20,000 steps that day in the sun. It was about 35 Celsius, maybe 95 Fahrenheit. Again, being my first time to visit Inwood, I was seeing things with fresh eyes and taking interest in things that if I was just passing by, I may not have, like these cans. Next up, this Mercedes, knowing it or not, was getting a bath today. So I worked that to try and get some different angles on it. I went down in closer, used a slower shutter speed, and ultimately got too close. First shot, kind of boring, I think. Getting in lower, there's more interest. Slowing the shutter, again, more interest. And then here, I think, is finally the best one when I actually was too close and got a little wet. Now, being a Sunday, there was all kinds of street market going on 207th Street. It just seemed to be, do as you please. There was shoes and homewares and wigs, all kinds of stuff out for sale. It was kind of an interesting thing for me. Around the next corner and we found yet another hydrant open. This one was great. I told the kids to just keep playing, check with their parents nearby with a silent nod that it was okay to shoot them. And they were having the time of their life. So of course I had to go in and get myself wet and join them.
Man, that's so much fun. I wish I grew up in a city with fire hydrants. Incredibly wasteful, but still fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hopefully it can become a full series. As I said, it's just something that we do for ourselves to get some sun, some exercise, to explore a suburb, and for me to focus on enjoying the process of shooting rather than deliverables or delivering to clients or shot lists or timelines or anything like that. If I come home with one shot that I love or 10 or 100, it's all good to me. But let me know what you think, any feedback you have, what you think would be cool to include in different things. Like on those last ones, I slowed down to a 30th of a second and a 15th to get the water moving, to get some more levels of interest into the street shots. Yeah, great day, fun day. A lot of wasted water though. Let me get your portrait. Can I take a photo of you? Yeah. Just to give. The beer is okay. Let me see. Oh. Yeah. My man. Woo. Yeah. Good one. Yeah, you got it.
And that guy could dance, and just around the corner yet another hydrant, and this one turned out to be maybe my second favorite of 5 for the day. These kids were playing away, there was the train nearby, there were a lot of interesting elements, the South American beers on the left as well, and then this guy brought out a lawn chair to sit in the water, which I thought made for a great shot. That was my first memory card for the day. So as I got my card ready and put the new one in, I saw an image starting to come together in my mind, having the guy in the deck chair with all of the stuff on the street, all of the people there, you know, spraying him, and then having the train go through in the background. So I found my vantage point and basically waited for it, but it didn't come together the first time.
You can't plan for everything. When the train first came in, the kid was blocking the water and people were walking through, but I think we got something.
So look, I wasn't happy with the shot. It wasn't the streaming water. I wanted to have movement in the shot, and the kid was blocking the hydrant and there was no one in the chair. So I basically waited and waited, got some different shots, including, you know, some kids playing on a skateboard as I waited, and waited for the train to come through a second time. And this time, all of the elements did line up. Got it. Now, after surviving that terrifying dog, my friend who lives in the area told me there was a kiddie pool out on Nagle Street. So we headed to that direction and it was just great. The parents were playing dominoes, smoking hookah in the background. Then they had this setup being filled with the hydrant, much better use of the water rather than letting it stream away. And the kids just hammed it up for the camera. It was so much fun. The kids loved looking through the GoPro at each other, seeing themselves through the camera. So I actually turned it around so they were looking at my face as I was shooting rather than getting the bird's eye point of view. It let me get some really fun shots. Such cute kids and a great way to keep cool on a day like that. I finished by giving my business card to the mum so I can email her some of the shots later, and then we continued on our way.
Ciao. Bye. Okay, it's been an awesome 4 or 5 hours that we've been hanging out here. Time now to go find a place for dinner. Got a recommendation for a local Caribbean place. Should just be up near the park here, and I think that will round out our day. Canave, canave.
So, long and fantastic day wandering around. I think I earned this cocktail. We got a couple of little snacks before heading back to the subway on the other side of the park, headed downtown. And kind of a funny and ironic shot to finish the whole day. This young lady had just got a new tattoo that in Spanish says, "Nothing lasts forever," except for tattoos. I hope she doesn't live to regret that one. So let me know what you think, folks. That was essentially 2 lenses, 1 body, and 1 suburb for our first episode of this new series, named to be confirmed. Let me know what you think, maybe the Photo Wanderer or Photography Wanderlust. Also let me know what were your favorite shots, let me know the timestamps so I can check them out. Please like, sub, and share, and I'll see you soon.